My godson. We have a quorum of the board, but in terms of the quorum for the annual meeting, we need a majority of the officials. Probably have a quorum for that. We have 138. So quorum would be so fast. No, but we just have an information meeting. You never have a quorum for the annual meeting. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. Julie, are you set? Okay. He's not on. That's it. Should get on. Yeah. TV's Oh, you're. I know. Oh, I know. It's old. Well, you're not even old. Julie, can I start? Okay, okay. Good morning, everyone. We are going to get started. It is 10 o'clock. And this is the Board of Directors meeting of Ocean Trail Condominium Association #1. I'm trying to turn this on. First, we're going to establish a quorum of the board. I am Mary Lou Parker, President.
Tina Morris, Vice President. And Kenna, Treasurer.
Skip.
What?
You're present. and that is Skip Cornelius, the Secretary.
You're asking with the multitask.
I know, you can, you know that.
How are we looking, board member?
And online, we have
Barry.
Barry Stolnick, present.
and Sina.
I don't see Sina.
Sina will be joining, so.
Okay.
Okay, so we do have a quorum of the board. So first, proof of notice of the meeting. So on Wednesday, March 11th, owners were receiving the agenda and the proposed bylaws by email, regular mail, and in some cases hand delivery, and they were also posted. So they were everything was timely dispersed. Next, approval of the minutes of the board meeting held on February 27, 2026. Do I have a motion to waive the reading of those minutes and to approve them?
So moved.
Okay. Tina, so moved.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And Howie, is that a second? Second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
I want to first introduce, which I should have done at the outset. Of course, you know, Julie Gonzalez, our property manager, and we have Michelle Petchy, who is a regional director from First Service Residential, filling in for Rosa Cano. So thank you for coming, Michelle. Okay, next on the agenda is the concrete restoration project update, and Barry Skolnick. We can see part of Barry on the television there. He's going to give the report.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to give you an update on the concrete restoration project. Whereas everybody that's present at Ocean Trails right now knows that we're coming to the end of the project. We're in the painting stages and the cleaning of the catwalks and the painting of all the catwalks. All the heavy work around the building has been completed. Most of the swing stages have been done except for one that we're using to go up and down to the roof. The power washing, the south side, or the south side now. The east side has been completely power washed and painted. Now we're starting on the other side of the paint and the finalization of it. And then the last piece we're going to be doing would be the painting of the floor decks on the catwalks. And that will start within probably a week or so and finish up that part of the project. There's still a little work that has to be done in the garage area, in the storage rooms. Just some some cosmetic stuff to be cleaned up. And I want to thank everybody for all their patience through this long 2+ year project. But I'm very confident, and I'd like to share that with the board, that the contractor's skill set and the engineer's skill set was very well established. And we have a nice warranty on the work, and move on to the next project. So I'll ask Mary Lou if you have anything to add to that.
No, thank you, Barry. If we have any questions, I should have mentioned, we'll take questions at the end of the meeting, with the exception of any questions about the bylaws, on which we'll be voting during this meeting.
We should acknowledge what a good sport he is. He's on a fishing trip. Don't.
Well, I know. I called Barry this morning, right after I got power washed going back to my unit this morning, and I called Barry. And I said, Barry, are you going to be able to join by Zoom? And Barry said, oh, yes. Barry had a trip planned down to Key West. So he's with a number of buddies, and Priscilla is too. And so thank you, Barry, for joining.
No problem.
Is the report regarding Ocean Trail Unit Owners Association, Inc. This is going to be somewhat bifurcated because I'm going to give you some, and then Tina's going to give you the rest. So what I wanted to mention, and a number of you will already know this, that one of the projects at Ocean Trail Unit Owners Association was to vote for the proposed amendments to the Articles of Incorporation and the bylaws. This was really a multi-year project. We already had round one of the voting before that passed, and as a result, you have pickleball and you have the bocce, and well, I won't mention the bocce because that's part of Tina. And so the second round of voting for other changes to the articles and to the bylaws. So I want to share some numbers with you because I am so proud of this building, and I want you to know how proud I am of you. So for the articles, there were 295 votes within the entire complex. Of that, 268 were yes votes and 27 were no votes. The bylaws total 287 votes, 260 yes votes and 27 no votes. Our building had 103 votes cast. And I will say, I don't care whether you voted yes, no, or whatever, but I think the fact that that many people voted, because we have 138 units, but because of the passing of two owners within the building, we really had a maximum of 136 possible votes. So 103 out of 136. It is no wonder when I brag about all you, everybody else in this complex, it is the most well-deserved bragging I can think of. So I want to thank you for your continued engagement, your positivity. It was enormous.
We'd like to
We
thank
said,
you, Mary Lou,
well,
for being such a-
you were a nudge. I am a nudge. I will say this. There were some people, I would encounter them many times in the lobby, and they sort of had to, see me coming, and then kind of moved and pushed the elevator button, anything they could do, but they couldn't escape. Anyway, so we set the bar high for being the most engaged building in the entire complex. Wow. And with that, I want to turn over the rest of the report about Ocean Trail Unit Owners Association to Tina, who is our new representative on that board. So Tina, we are so fortunate to have you.
I'm still the newbie and on this board, and I have to give the other board members there and Mary Lou a lot of credit for filling my inbox already with a lot of information. So if I ever thought my Ocean Trail email was going to go silent after this meeting, that's not happening. So there's a lot going on, and I wanted to first thank our social committee members who are also active in the 201 side, because there's another wonderful event tomorrow. And that is the food truck event, which is also a reminder, if you guys have any cars at the tennis courts, they need to be moved today. I realize that it's a little bit of a hardship at the moment because almost every building has parking restraints in some shape or another, but if you would like to add to your daily step count and be healthy and happy over these next couple of days, please park your car a little bit on the further outsides, because you've probably seen that John and Lewis have set little cones up by the tennis courts that are encouraging people to empty that space so that the food trucks can come. And so that's happening tomorrow. I want to thank everybody from this building who's involved, and also with that, say thanks to the wonderful event we had last night, but that we'll get to that. So you will also see survey people on the property that are, you've probably already seen little orange markings on the parking lots and things like that. So a contract was made with a survey company to survey our entire property, which is necessary for various other projects, and it's the foundation for some other projects that need to be done. So if you see engineers or people walking around our building, that's part of the survey, because the survey activity includes the building perimeters. Now, everybody knows 201, the OTUOA is in charge of the grounds, governs the grounds of our property. And our property has a very interesting history, some of which includes that property lines are not completely clear. So it'll be a surprise to many, including it was to me, that over 50 years after this area was built, we are now establishing what the actual property lines are. And that has many reasons, including the maintenance of some natural landscape, like the mangroves that are in the tributary. And so we need to know where things belong, who they belong to. So if you see surveyors, they're from the company called Wallace that is doing that. And so you will hear more about all the other projects that are associated with that, but that work is commencing this week. And the surveying, though, for the bocce court has been done. And I think those of you in our building, I know we have passionate and competitive bocce players. They will be very happy to hear that the bocce court will now be international regulation length, which is over 80 feet. So you can, in the future, when the court is built, I hope our players will enjoy that and will be able to invite other clubs and active players or associations to come here and play. So that if you've gone behind the clubhouse, the 201 clubhouse, you've seen that there was extra sod that was taken up, and so that work is in progress, and hopefully be ready soon for everybody to enjoy. And so, like I said, I'm still coming up to speed on a lot of things 201. My big interest, as many of you know, is the pool. I swim every morning if I can. So, but any concerns, any thing that is going on with our grounds that's happening over there, I'll be happy to try to fill those big shoes and be a good representative.
Yeah, and so keep that in mind, because we've always given you, if you have this kind of building concern, how to direct those inquiries. But for Ocean Trail Unit Owners Association inquiries, you'll be directing them to Tina, and she will get the answers, respond to you, and that kind of thing. And the only other thing I want to say is, because you guys are so great, and especially we anticipate the bocce players who already know how to play bocce will be taking pity on those of us that don't know the first thing about bocce. And I think that we should line up some lessons from those that are skilled for those that are clueless, okay? So
yes,
we won't exact blood yet, but we will exact a promise about that. Thank you very much, Tina. I want to follow up from our unit maintenance workshop. So first of all, I want to thank you for those of you that attended it, whether you attended in person, you viewed it on Zoom. We thought it was really a very helpful session for owners, but we do have some follow-up. We promised you that, first of all, we would give you a summary of it. You did receive an email summarizing it. We do have a tape of it, but for those of you that like things condensed, we think the summary was really the way to go instead of having you listen to the whole recording again. We have already given you information about dryer vent cleaning. So there are, different ways of doing that. We have something down in the lobby about signing up if you want a particular company doing that. We also have another company that you've received information from. And as Steve Morris had told us, a lot of air conditioning companies, and especially if you have a service agreement, your air conditioning company may well provide a dryer vent cleaning. We are going to try to find a way to keep a record of who gets their dryer vent cleaned when, so we kind of know what the status of things in the building would be. I'll share a personal story. So we had our dryer vent cleaned on Monday by Prestige. We knew that we had some extra lint because I would always have to vacuum up the lint for every time we dry clothes. Thought that was strange. And other people said, no, that's strange. So he comes, and apparently when we had some work done in the kitchen, people did not really connect the pipe to the dryer. So we were just spreading lint all over the place. It looked like the dump behind our dryer. And this skinny little guy went behind there and moved it all out. And he fortunately had a vacuum cleaner large enough to get the whole thing. He cleaned that kitchen, the washer, the dryer, everything. So probably none of you are in a situation quite that bad, but I do highly recommend it because you never know what you might find, behind there. So that's the dryer vent cleaning. Master Care shutters, we did circulate information about, potential group discounts of different kinds of services that you could get with respect to your hurricane shutters. With respect to Federal Pacific electric panels, we've referred before to these FPE electrical panels. We will circulate. We now have information from Tom Cerrito of Cerrito Electric that they will provide a discount. That company will provide a discount of $2,300 if you want that service, as long as there are at least 10 units in the building. There are obviously other electricians who will do it, but we're kind of going to beat the drum, I think, until we are pretty much satisfied that all units have changed from that original panel because it is a safety issue. We're still waiting for information from CNC Glass and Screen about work that can be done on your doors and your screens. So that's just follow-up. Just want to let you know that we are going to follow up and we are providing information as we get it. So that because many of these things we deem to be safety issues, and that's our thing. We really want the building to be as safe as possible. Okay, next, discussion and vote by the Board of Directors on the proposed updated rules and regulations. And you're going to.
Yeah, before I do that, I just want to put my treasurer hat on for a second. We're not doing a financial report this month, just in the interest of time, because we have so much going on today. But I just wanted to remind everyone, quarterly payments are due on April 1st. It's $4,700 per quarter. You did receive an email earlier this week from Julie, which reminded you of all the ways that you can pay. And also thinking ahead, your first special assessment payment of $3,100 will be due on May 1st. So just want to kind of put that on your radar as those payments are coming up. Okay, now switching over to the rules and regs. Before we get into the rules and regs, I just wanted to take a minute to explain the thought behind them, because I think on the surface of it, it's multiple pages. It looks like a lot, but there really is some thought behind it. It's not just rules for the sake of rules. It's about three very practical goals. First is safety and security. That's something I think everyone can agree on. The second is reducing sources of day-to-day friction between neighbors. So there'll be some noise regulations, just general courtesies that are common sense.
We can't hear you back here. Is there any way?
Oh, you want me to use them? Is this any better? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So 3 goals: safety and security, reducing any potential sources of friction between neighbors. And the third goal is just making expectations clear, both to management and residents, so that there aren't any surprises, because sometimes gray areas can be frustrating because we don't know how to interpret them. So it's really just to provide clarity. Most of what you're seeing is not new. You did receive a full copy of the rules and regs that we're voting on today, 14 days ago in your email. That is the draft that we are voting on today. So I just wanted to briefly highlight a handful of the changes that may affect you. Probably the most significant one is a new rule regarding overnight guests when the owner is not present. So the way it stands right now, we really have no way of knowing when guests are here without the owner. We know when tenants are here, but we don't know when guests are here, and that's a safety issue. We do want to have an idea of who is in the building. So a new rule is going to be that 48 hours before the arrival of your guest, when you are not in residence, we ask that you notify the management office. Again, and this is just for safety, because we assume when you're present with your guest, you're on it, you know them, you're on it. But when you're not here, we do need to have an idea of who's in your unit. So that's a new rule. Noise and audio, we clarified some regulations regarding noise, and it's really all about just use your earbuds, use your wired headphones when you're using personal devices, whether it's in the gym, whether it's at the pool. You shouldn't be blasting a radio on your balcony. The voice carries here, the sound carries much more than anyone would ever think. So we're just asking for some courtesy. That includes video games. We have one owner who reported that they can hear the vibrations of a video game going on in the floor above them. So just be courteous and know that you are surrounded by neighbors on all sides. In the pool and common area, we just clarified some rules. There is one new rule, and it's kind of a new thing. We never had this issue before, but it's been since the pool reopened that people are going out early in the morning and saving lounge chairs. So you'll see 4, 6 towels, and people leave for the day and then come back later in the afternoon. That seems to be a new thing. So we have added a rule that really shouldn't be used. If you're enjoy the lounge chairs, but you need to be in them. You can't just leave your stuff there all day. Diapers, we've clarified that swimmies, any kind of person who needs a diaper really can't be in the pool. And again, that is a health issue, because if there's an incident, we have to drain the pool. So it's not being anti-kid. We love kids here, but they just can't be in the pool if they need diapers. Bicycles and e-bikes, we had a lot of debate about this, and whether we wanted to allow e-bikes. They're very popular, but they do have the batteries that are dangerous. Fires can't be easily contained. What we decided for at this point is that we're going more for a registration and notification approach. So if you do have an e-bike, you need to register it the same way that you would your regular bicycle. And we've clarified that in the rules. And then it's just, garage safety. This is a new one too. We have noticed increasing number of owners who sit in the garage listening to conference calls and just keeping the car idling for extended periods of time. That's really not safe to do, because it is a relatively enclosed space. So no idling in the garage. General cleanup. Just general cleanup of the language. So when you read the rules and regs, that's really what you'll find. Again, the rules and regs can be revisited at any time. So I don't want anyone to think that it's going to be another 5 years before we ever rethink these things. If there's something that's not working, we can always revisit it. But that's kind of an introduction of the discussion we're going to have today and the vote we're going to have today.
Okay, do you want to mention these just to the extent that we only mention them?
Sure.
As part of it, kind of.
Yeah, what, can I just look at that? Okay, so upgrading of electrical panels. So again, we had pretty lengthy discussion at the last meeting regarding whether we should require the upgrading of the FPE stab lock electrical panels that people who have not renovated probably still have in their unit. We really don't know how many people have them, but we do know it's not zero, and it really needs to be zero because they are a known safety hazard. They are not to code, and they pose a fire risk to everyone. At this point, we are trying to embark on a campaign of education around this and awareness. We are organizing favorable pricing, which Mary Lou just mentioned, so that you can get this done for a relatively inexpensive price. I think you said $2,300.
If there are 10 people.
If there are 10
owners
people.
that sign up.
I did it one-off. I just paid $28.50 for it. So this is a good deal. If you are considering, if you need to do it, please do, because it's a question of if not when. If you don't upgrade these panels, it can also affect your ability to get a mortgage in the future or get property insurance. So again, you're going to have to do it while the pricing is good. And we just highly recommend that. In terms of dryer vent cleaning, we just talked about that. Again, super important for our fire safety considerations.
And we opted not to mandate, when you just mentioned that.
Yeah, we're not mandating it. So that was another discussion that we had of whether we should mandate it. And we decided at this point, again, we're going to focus on education, encouragement, awareness. It's not expensive. It's $125 to ensure your safety. It's really a no-brainer. And again, $125 through Prestige Air, or check with your own AC company that you have a contract with. And then the creation of a compliance committee. This is something that we are going to consider. So again, 99% of people want to follow the rules. They do follow the rules. The best intentions are always assumed, but there have been some sticky cases where we just didn't have the ability to follow through in a clear, impartial, predictable way. And so the creation of a compliance committee is something that the board wants to consider. It will be made up if it's voted on and approved. It will be made up of at least 3 owners who are not board members, so that it's not the board deciding this. And again, it's only for compliance violations that have not been able to be resolved any other way. And again, I would say it's less than 1%, but you do need to have a way to make the rules have teeth. So that is something that we are going to consider.
Okay. I'll use this in case you can't hear me. So we're going to have a discussion, if necessary, among board members first, to see if there are any questions. I mean, we have circulated things back and forth by email among board members. Do any board members have any comments or questions about the rules, the proposed rules? And then I'll open it up, seeing none, to those in attendance, both on Zoom and in the room, to see if any of you have any questions about the proposed rules and regulations. Any online?
If not, I do want to, yeah,
Okay,
we have a
sure.
question online. So we have a question online, and it's a good one. How will the rules be enforced, especially on the weekend? Tenants or guests sure don't seem to care, as I have seen glass bottles at the pool and garbage floating in the pool that they don't pick up while their diapered babies are in the pool. I've seen all of this too. It's very frustrating. The reality is that we do not have 24/7 staff to monitor this. So right now, when there's an issue, we ask Julie and Kurt to deal with it. They go very promptly and deal with it during working hours. We don't have 24/7 staff. So the weekends are really about all of us addressing this, governing ourselves, governing our guests. And again, this goes back to, when you have a guest here, make sure that they know that these rules, and please don't push it. So it is creating an awareness, but it is an imperfect situation at the moment.
I add one thing. Oftentimes, the owners obey all the rules. And we also have many renters. God love them. We have so many renters that have become owners or have become renters year after year after year. They are as ingrained into the fabric of our community as longtime owners. They are not a problem. But oftentimes, renters that are here, they look to see, oh, this looks like a hotel. It's so beautiful. We must have staff to come and clean up after us or whatever. And so one thing that I really would like to see done is, assuming that we pass these proposed rules, you may recall that you all had a little laminated sheet of rules. It was kind of a condensed version of, yes, that's it. And Skip has worked on this in the past, and after we pass these, hopefully, we will go back and we will revisit the laminated version. We will make sure that that is available. One thing that I would like to see done is when renters submit an application, a tenant application, they have to sign something. They're given all the rules and regulations and they have to sign something. I received these, or I read them, or both. But what I'd like to see done is, in addition to that, perhaps even have a renter's orientation when they come and some kind of repetition when they come, that they are given the rules and regulations again. Because what happens is that, like anything else, if you're doing something on your phone and you say, oh, you want to maybe a new app or something, and then you have like 5 pages of really tiny print that you have to acknowledge that you've read it and all that kind of stuff, you kind of, maybe you don't do this, but I know some people that do. You go to the end and you say, yes, I agree. You don't really know what you're agreeing to, because all you want to do is you want to get that app on your phone. You don't care what their privacy policy is and all that kind of thing. So I think a lot of times when renters, you don't have to sign that. They're maybe just going to the end and filling in the blank that says, oh, yes, I read those, I understand those, and that's the end of it. So I think what we want to do too with pushing education in so many different ways is to try to tackle this issue more fully, to make certain that everybody has what they need to understand, to, really review the rules, understand them, and maybe would require renters to have that laminated sheet right there, right inside the front door, so that renters would see it. But there's different ways of doing it. Todd, come forward so you can use the microphone and identify yourself.
Todd Jones, BH5. I just want to point out while we're on this conversation about the weekends, is I briefly spoke with Julie after the last meeting about the idea of maybe hiring a local teenager or a couple of them to rotate on the weekends and just to be out there on the pool deck to make sure there's no babies in the pool and all. There was a point where a whole bunch of kids had their vessels, their drinks lined up right on the edge of the pool. That's not allowed, I believe, in the new rules too. So just, pay them, whatever you pay them, but it's just, they're not a lifeguard. They're just there to help enforce on the weekend.
Let me just take that. I think it would be better, but we thank you for your suggestion. But I think it would be better if all of us tried to make a concerted effort to kindly share some insight with the people that are breaking the rules. I'm not sure that a teenager going up to a 60-year-old person would be well received or be productive, but so I'm not sure that we consider all suggestions. I will say that. I'm not saying that, the board won't consider all of this. A retired person.
They would have an idea already.
I know. Well, you know what? We appreciate any suggestions. Any other comments before I ask for a motion from the board to approve the proposed rules and regulations? Any other questions or comments? No. May I have a motion from a board member to approve the proposed rules and regulations as they were distributed with the agenda for this meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a lot of people making the motion, but Skip said it first. So Stina, would you like to second it?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Any discussion among the board? Hearing none,
No.
all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
And Barry said, Barry,
Encina said yes.
they both said aye. So unanimously approved by the board. Thank you very much. Agenda.
Did I take it? Here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Lynn. Regarding social events, why don't you come up, and you know what, why don't you come to this side of the table, because that way you'll be picked up. I'm not sure she'll be picked up on that side of the table, will she?
She will.
She will be? Okay, on the TV too, so that people can see her on the
Yes.
Zoom? Okay. Linda Chiara.
I'm gonna keep this short, even though I wrote a lot.
Yeah.
There is, let me turn around. There is a lot to cover, but it's a very important meeting and I don't really want to take the time. So our season was huge success and you know it because almost everybody in this room had attended something, one or another. Every single thing makes me happy. to see everybody there. So it's pretty cool. And I always say to everybody, not everyone has to come to everything. That's why we try to offer a variety of things, but cocktail parties monthly, we're averaging between 65 and 70 people coming monthly. That's unreal, I think, because we have the room to hold it and people attend. And I just think it's amazing. The malts is amazing. We had 62 sign up again this past January for Come From Away. I have to acknowledge Carolyn Carilli and Robin and actually
Carolyn Gates.
Carol Gates
Is over there
and
too.
Ann Kana and Sharon, who's not here, for volunteering to do that and to bring an amazing hour of food. This year, as everybody knows, if you haven't seen it already, to sign up for January 21st, 2027 is out. It will be La Cage aux Folles, and I already have over 40 people signed up, so we have to max out at 62. Last night we had our trivia night. It was awesome. And we had the Bob Seminara was the winner, the Kowalskis, husband and wife team, and Michael Short. You will see downstairs. We'll acknowledge them, hopefully on be typed up. The Aloha Party was very stressful because it was a couple of years in coming because we had a lot of issues in the building that we couldn't do it, so we kept moving it. And of course, that night it was, what will the weather be? Lou kept saying, it's gonna be great. I knew he was lying from the morning to the night. But it was like a miracle. It was an aloha miracle because it was the palm trees when we were eating dinner in here, for all who were here or all who watched above, were literally doing this. And when I had the team come in, we had fire, we had swords, and I was like, oh, this is not gonna happen. And when we all walked outside, it just stopped. The wind stopped. The weather was warm. It was wonderful. The volunteers that came up, the people that participated in it, the Aloha Islanders have contacted me. They've never seen it before. They said it was incredible. It was.
Emotion is fine. Don't worry.
I think that's it. Oh, the annual St. Patrick's Day party, just so that you know too, every cocktail party, every major party that we have, including the Aloha party, which if you walked in this room was pretty awesome. It's all Alberta. She does it all. And I have to acknowledge this year, we had a challenge this year because we were not allowed to use the staff to help us decorate. And that's fine, and I understand the reasons. It's important for them to be able to concentrate on the building, but it was a challenge for us. So Tim and Kathy Kerr, the Deagles that come down here, not always in season, they were here for both. My husband. They did it all, Tom Parker, we got Tom, I have to acknowledge you, sorry, Tom, to take down lights. He had no idea. But to be quite honest, he volunteered, we didn't beg, which we do a lot, but he came down to do it. We had no idea, Alberta had no idea what was involved, because I had to give props where they belong, and it was all Jose. He would come down, he would just do it. It was just done, and we didn't even know how he did it. And Alberta told him in the very beginning what to do, and at the end, the next morning, when we would come down, and this is no lie, Alberta could swear to it, by 9 o'clock in the morning, not only was it down, it was wrapped perfectly, and it was laid up there for us to just put in the cabinet. So, Tom was flying on his own. Great. You're not, and that's another thing, obviously, anybody next year who, is willing, I'm not looking to put people up on ladders if I can avoid it, although Tim has spent a lot of time on 10-foot ladders, but we hold them. We hold them.
Generous of you to hold them.
Our last cocktail party will be April 15th. Hopefully we'll be outside, but we introduced something new this year that I think is kind of cool. It's gonna be, I'm calling it, nobody else calls it this, but I call it a pop-up meetup. Because every once in a while, take a look, if it's a nice evening, and you could use our beautiful terrace. We'll try and put it around, signs around, it'll be very last minute if the weather is nice. And what it is it's 5 o'clock, coming up from the pool, coming up from the beach, maybe just come downstairs with whatever you have. no food necessary, nothing to share, just really to meet new people perhaps and get to know other people and just have an evening instead of being in front of the TV. Maybe you just wanna come and sit out here. I mean, it is really spectacular to sit out here. And I think I covered everything. Don't you want to win this? That's it. And that's it. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
is the April meeting an IRS meeting?
The April 15th, yes.
Yeah.
It's actually, I think there will be dollar signs hanging around here and it'll be, you should meet your deadline for mailing. Right.
Let me just take that. We all owe a debt of thanks,
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
not only to Lynn, but to Lou, who is always there. The trash is emptied without fail. He's the trash master. But combined, you are rays of sunshine. You add so much to our community, and we are indeed grateful. And to all the volunteers, too many to mention, but our building, that's why we can brag so much about our building, is because you bring out the best in everybody. You provide the best entertainment. So thank you deeply. So now we reach the point of any questions or comments from unit owners before we go into the next meeting. Yes.
I would like to know whether the refurbishment of the lobbies is on the agenda for this coming year.
The question is the refurbishment of the elevator lobbies on the agenda for the coming year? And I think probably it makes sense to defer that until the next meeting when the board will have an opportunity to consider that.
It's long overdue.
I know it's long overdue. It's long overdue. And one reason that it is long overdue is because we sort of did a mental calculus of how much disruption could owners endure at a time. And we think that we reached that level of disruption a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then we thought we'll delay it a year. And then we thought, oh, we've only diminished the disruption a little bit. We'll defer it a year. So we know that it is long overdue, but I think the next board will give that consideration.
One thing. So, yes, it is overdue. It is a reserve item, so if there are funds reserved for this, however, it may not be sufficient, given what the budget may be. So I know that Carolyn Carilli and the rest of the talented the rest of the talented beautification group are putting together some ideas. We're going to talk about a budget, and then we're going to let the owners weigh in. Do they want to do this in case that it does cost more than we have reserves for? Because I know everyone is pretty fatigued on special assessments. So that will be a question. It all depends on what the budget is and what your appetite is to do the project. Carolyn, you want to come up?
Hi.
Come on up.
Just announce yourself, Carolyn, first.
Yeah.
Hi. In reference to what we're talking about, Alberta and I and Carolyn Gates are on the committee that are exploring ideas about the landings. And we have had a couple of meetings already. We've come up with some ideas. And I think we can assure everybody that we are going to do this as economically as possible. And we can do it and make it look really nice without a real lot of money or even construction. Now, Alberta has put a lot of time in this, not just now, but over the years. And we have found a floor that we don't have to pick up the old floor. We can lay these tiles on top of that. I don't know exactly what, Alberta would know more about that, but they are commercial grade and they are used, Alberta said, in auto dealers that they have the cars on the floor inside, of their place. And so we just wanted the board to know that too, that we are working on it constantly and we will come up with something that is economical and will hopefully everybody will agree. And we're not gonna have just one plan. We're gonna propose two different ideas and then let the community vote on it.
Thank you very much, Carolyn.
Thanks, Carolyn. Oh,
Lynn.
just Lynn, do you wanna?
Speak loud.
Okay, and then we can repeat it if we can't,
Yeah.
if we can't hear.
It's, Lindsay Carroll, 1110. I want to propose something and I'm sure you have your reasons, but I just think it's worth saying now as we're coming to the end of the concrete restoration project, which, as we know, went way over and for obvious reasons. Why? We had the column and there are reasons why they had to do it. I know that there are expenses involved, and if you would have at that point stopped it and continued it later on. So what I'm asking is, in 5 years, whenever we have to do it again, could the board from now start planning and give up trying to do this side of the building and the catwalk side at the same time? So just plan for 1 year, whether it be the 5 years to do the front and then the second to do the catwalk. Because if you have the time now, you can put it in your budget, or you can do whatever you have to do. It's obvious that the building is 50 years old. Are you going to have a problem in 5 years? Yeah, probably. It's gonna make it go over. Maybe this column, it may be something else. And if it's not, bravo, we finish even sooner. But I think if we could just delay it, but again, I'm sure there's a lot of thought that goes into that with people that live here all year. I don't know if that's an issue. But I think that everybody, I'm gonna speak for, I shouldn't say everybody, I will speak for us. This is insanity. And it's the last time we did it was the same thing. We had to continue into January. I think it's always gonna be the case. I don't know if it's possible. That's your expertise. But I just wanted to mention it because I think the building is old enough that trying to do it all in one, saying we're gonna end December 30th and we're not ending until April, should be a good indicator that this is going to be the case every time we do this. So just my thoughts.
Do I need to, so I'll repeat it in case the owners on the phone couldn't hear that. So Lynn was bringing up a good point that concrete projects inevitably turn out to be somewhat larger than the scope you originally start with. And in this case, we wound up with a project that was supposed to end December 30th. It was probably going till at least April 30th. We'll see. And her request is that for the next one, could we plan to space it out a little bit more? Do you want to respond to that, or do
You can respond if you
Okay.
want, or Barry can respond. I mean.
I'll be more than happy to respond to that.
Respond?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead, Barry.
Okay, thanks, Lynn, for the question. It's a good question. The hurdles we deal with in concrete restoration is not only that we have to plan ahead, but we don't know the extent of the damage until we actually get into the testing of the concrete, the spalding, and that's when we determine it. But to delay the project from 1 year to another year, it's almost inconceivable because we have a contract with the vendor, and we're hoping that everything goes well with the vendor that's performing the task of doing the physical work. They're in high demand right now. Obviously, as everybody knows, all the buildings in South Florida have to be checked for the SARS, and their workload is tremendous. Getting them back in a timely fashion could be a difficult function. And also, we're dealing with weather. Every day, we're dealing with weather. We were delayed so many times on painting because of the wind, because when it's windy, they can't paint. So I think the best thing to do, and in 5 years, it's going to be, I don't anticipate it being as big of a project as we have right now. That we just have to bite the bullet and just get it done. It's very, very important. It's part of the requirements for the state of Florida. And again, my personal feeling is I don't believe the next go around is going to be as severe as this go around we had. But we're very cognizant of all the unit owners and the ones that rent out their units and the ones that live here about the noise. But it's just an inevitable part, not just our building, all the buildings have to have this project done. So I think there's going to be relatively quiet for a while, but 5 years, it's 5 to 7 years, it's going to start up again. Hopefully that answered your question, Lynn.
Thank you. Thank you.
Noted.
Yeah.
Rod,
Just my question is 5 years what you're planning on doing this all again?
probably not.
Yeah. So it's determined by the reserve study. So our last reserve study was done in 2024. We will have another one done either at the end of this year or beginning of next year. That will refresh that time frame. So 5 years would be sooner than I think anybody anticipates it. It might be between 7 and 9 years, I think is what the current thinking is. But again, please don't rely on any predictions at this point. It's such an unknown.
Any other comments or questions?
So we have one on the phone. When the floor is open, I have a general question concern not related to this topic. That's Dana. Do you want to unmute Dana?
Yes, hi. I'm in Penthouse 3. Hello, everybody. I just had a little concern. A few weeks ago, I had a package go missing, and luckily, the tracking had showed that it was delivered to the mail room and not the package room, where there are cameras, security cameras. So gratefully, the office staff reviewed the footage and we figured out who the culprit was. And it was a renter in our building who took my package and helped herself to it and had it. And it took 2 days of us telling her we're going to go to the authorities to get her to return it, which she threw back into the package room opened. So my question is, could we, I'm thankful that there was a camera in the mailroom, and come to find out, I had asked, there's no camera in the package room, which I think is scary because people can help themselves and you'll have no recourse. You're just out. I mean, my package was valued at $200. I would have been out. So one is, could we think about getting a camera? I mean, I don't think they're that expensive. I mean, I chip in happily just to have that room. I don't know if you could cover that whole room or something. And then the second part of that is like, what were the repercussions? Because this woman is still in our building walking around. Just, I'm worried for her, just helping herself to whatever else she feels like she wants to. There was nothing happened to her was the thing. And she's a renter.
Barry, do you first want to address the issue of cameras and what we have done thus far with cameras most recently? And Dana, we take your comment very seriously and we're looking further into cameras. But Barry, why don't you just explain what has been done recently with respect to additional cameras? And this would be Dana's incident.
Yeah. So through the course of the last 6 to 8 months, we've evaluated the security camera system in the building, and we've upgraded the storage unit of the security system to allow us to add more additional cameras to it. We've added 2 cameras right now. One we added to the stairwell exit on the first floor on stack 10, and the same as stack 1. So we're secure there. We've replaced a camera that needed to be replaced, and we've repaired a camera. And yes, we're going to look forward to adding some additional cameras now that we have the capability of adding some cameras. And your suggestion is very well taken. There should be one in the mailroom, and that's one of the next areas that we'll be getting a camera. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Lynn?
What is the policy in the building of Amazon being allowed to deliver packages on individual floors?
Julie, do you want to?
It's done all the time, so it's not like it's not happening, so.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
So they're not supposed to be going up to the floors. We do have cameras in the office that we try to catch them because they sometimes go into the mailroom. But sometimes they're quick. If they have 1 or 2 packages, they go up the elevator without us trying to get them.
Well, it's not only that, it's not just Amazon, it's food deliveries. Why do we have, if people order food, hopefully that's going to be in our new rules, that they should be able to go downstairs and meet the vendor outside the door. Because we're having people deliver food all night long. And they come right up and they go into the delivery, persons and knocking on the door and giving it to them. And then where do they go after that? Do we really know?
Yeah.
So I've been seeing that a lot lately, and I never saw that before as much. I know Uber Eats is like a big thing, but.
Yeah, at this moment, residents are requesting that they deliver to the door. If we want to change that, we'll be happy to monitor that and make sure they come downstairs.
It's
But
not in the proposed rules that we're gonna vote on now, but again, all these suggestions are well taken. And as Anne explained earlier, the rules and regulations are like a living, breathing kind of document. You can change them and, many of the things as society changes, like 50 years ago, we didn't have all these delivery services, people cooked, and things like that. But, things have changed, But, the board will continue to look at all of those items. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise,
Oh,
we'll
so-
adjourn. 1 second.
Returning to the question, what again was done to the package thief?
Oh, yeah. Why is the first well?
Why are they still walking
Well,
around?
I believe the owner of the unit was contacted about it, so the owner and is responsible too. There is responsibility on owners for things that your renters do. It is up to the individual who was affected as to whether to press charges. The association is not in a position to press charges against this person. Have not maybe reached the end of this.
That they leave. Either, you can't do that either, that renter has to leave. I'm not asking for an answer, I'm just saying, those are things that you'd have to think about. I would imagine that a
The
renter.
owner has to decide that.
Yeah. I mean, Julie's saying too, the owner needs to decide that. And again, this is one thing why when we have prospective renters, they're required to fill out a tenant evaluation. We do look at part of that is a criminal background check. We have denied renters when the criminal background check did not meet what we thought was prudent for this building, including a convicted felon. We did not permit that person to rent the unit that person had hoped to rent. So all this is sort of done in the background. This is just something that a board needs to consider. But your comments are very well taken and will be considered. Rod, you had one more question?
Yes, a comment, actually. I want to congratulate the 201 building for changing their voting requirements, and we see the fruits of that labor. When I look out and I see 9 pickleball courts going full bore every morning, it warms the cockles of my heart. Also, what warms me is to see how many people use spa and the grills. It is wonderful.
Your comment too reminds me, Barry had asked me during the meeting, could I just remind people of one thing? So Barry is an expert griller. Excuse me, Barry, for mentioning that. But when he goes out there, and if the prior griller has left it a mess, so Barry then has to clean up the prior person's, all the marinade and all the sauces and everything like that. So again, I mean, Anne mentioned the reason that we have these rules so that we can all get along a little better. Barry gets along with everybody, but he's not as happy when he's scraping the grill, right, Barry? You want people to clean that up. So again, we just ask people to be mindful, to have common sense, to be kind, to be courteous, all those kinds of things that you learned in kindergarten. Please, exercise those traits here. I think that is it, right?
Mary Lou, were you
What?
going to introduce the new board?
At the next meeting. That's
The
the
next-
annual,
Oh,
at the
okay.
annual
Last year, that-
membership meeting.
Last year.
That's
that
a
was
separate
done at
meeting.
This meeting.
Okay, so we are going to adjourn if we have a motion for adjournment, but I just want to mention, after the motion for adjournment passes, we have 2 additional meetings. One is the annual membership meeting, at which we will introduce the new board members. And then after that, there will be a separate board of directors organizational meeting at which the newly constituted board will select its officers and tend to a little bit of the other business. The Zoom will remain the same. So we're hoping that you will be here for the annual meeting that we will start in a minute, as soon as we adjourn this meeting. We need to decide if we have a quorum. And a quorum for that meeting is not a quorum of the board, it's a quorum of unit owners. And each unit is counted as one. So if you have a couple, You don't get, it's not like two people count toward that, it's one. And so that's why Skip was tending to, when he was multitasking and was asking people to sign in as they came, if anybody did not sign in, would ask you to sign in now to indicate your attendance. And Julie will be counting with maybe Ann's assistance of how many people are online. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn the current meeting from a board member. Do we have a motion? And move to adjourn. Ina seconded that. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of adjourning meeting number 1, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Thank you. So meeting number 1 is adjourned.
You can go.
So meeting number 2 is going to start. And this meeting is the annual membership meeting. You received an agenda for this meeting. And Julie, what is your count in terms of?
36.
36, okay. So in terms of establishing a quorum of members, because you are the members, we do not have a quorum. We have never, to my knowledge, had a quorum. So what that means is that we will continue with the meeting, but it will be deemed an informational meeting. So there will be minutes prepared, but it's informational, not a real live legitimate annual membership meeting. Doesn't really change too much of how we're going to proceed. So in terms of proof of notice of the meeting, the first notice of the 2026 annual membership meeting and the election of board of directors was sent on January 23, 2026. That was sent in multiple ways. It was emailed. It was mailed or hand delivered to those that did not consent to receiving it by email, and it was posted. The second notice of the meeting was established in the same way on Wednesday, March 11, which is at least 14 days prior to this meeting. So that was timely posted and timely delivered. The next item on the agenda is approval of any unapproved annual meeting minutes. But because we did not have anything but an informational meeting last year, we don't have formal minutes, even though you will see minutes of that informational meeting on the website. So, and because we don't have a quorum attending this year, we will not put to a vote whether to approve any informal minutes that we had. You got that? So we're moving right along on the agenda. We're not going to be asking the members to raise your hand to approve any minutes. So the next is the announcement of 2 new directors. And I'd like, actually, you can pull another chair up there. I'd like to introduce them. So Steve Morris is one, and Rick Riccobono is the other. Come on up and join the table. We have to pull up one more chair there at the end. We are truly blessed. You saw their resumes. We are truly blessed to have them being added to the board. Thank you very, very much. I didn't tell them this, but if you want to take like 1 minute to introduce yourself and just say a little bit about you, that would be great. Steve, why don't you start? Oh, here, take the microphone. Or, should he come up here?
It doesn't work. very
Doesn't work.
well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Steve.
the mics are hitting this sometimes. So my name is Steve Morris. My wife is Tina, who's also sitting up here. We're full-time residents here at Ocean Trail. We live here year-round. We're in apartment 303. We've been here for about 5 years. I think we bought about 5 years ago, just as COVID was really getting started. And yeah, I think if you want any more information, there's a bio sketch that's available. You can take a look at that, or you can just stop me in the hallway and I'd glad to chat it up with you for a while.
Thank you.
Thank you. First, I had physical therapy because of the arm twisting.
And I let you off lightly.
I still don't have.
Wise guys, aren't they?
So Rick Riccobono, I go by Rick, it's R-I-C-K, not shortening, Riccobono. Just come to the family reunion, you say, hey, Rick, everybody turns around. Anyway, my wife Donna and I bought 805 and we bought it back in April, I think, 24. And then we started renovation, took it to the studs and redid it. All took pretty much the entire work period. So we weren't into the quiet period in doing that. And then we do have a second home. This is our home, and we have a second home in the desert in California. We spend a lot of time there. It's just a beautiful place like this. So we kind of very fortunate to have two paradises to go to as we go back and forth. But we really will be here most often in the months that most of you that do this part-time aren't here. So I'll be here pretty much like May or starting maybe April and through October, and not in the winter months.
Thank you very much.
Could you tell us who's leaving the board?
Yes, the two of us. But, so what I did, because I prepared the agenda, I put on their president's remarks. So I'm gonna talk for just a short while. So I'm like Lynn, so, but let me see. So the annual meeting marks the close of one board's term and the beginning of another. And so last week, while speaking with Julie, I referred to something happening next year. And she looked at me a bit quizzically and asked, next year? And it made me realize that while most normal people measure time by calendar years, I had begun measuring time in board years. So before we begin our next year, I'd like to take a moment to express my appreciation. First, my sincere thanks to our staff, Julie, Kurt, Alan, and Carl. Their professionalism, reliability, and daily efforts keep this building running smoothly, often behind the scenes and without recognition. Their work does not go unnoticed, and it is deeply appreciated. I'm also pleased to announce that we do expect an administrative assistant to join us on April 1. I know you will welcome our new staff member with the same warmth and friendliness you've always shown. To my fellow board members, thank you for your time, your thoughtful input, and your commitment to doing what is in the best interests of the association. We have worked together as a team, a wonderful team, with each member contributing in meaningful ways. Howie had to leave, but he was here earlier. Drawing on his pharmacy background, he was a natural leader in securing a defibrillator for the building and arranging for our training on how to use that. Sina, who participated in the task of updating our rules and regulations, brought valuable insight and a practical, common sense approach to the process. Barry, his knowledge of construction and building systems has been invaluable. We came to use the term the Barry Hug, referring to the way he would spread some love among vendors and contractors before astutely negotiating with them. Skip, our secretary, not only our talented trivia master, but also a gifted writer who produces clear, eloquent minutes in record time after each meeting. He also took the lead in interviewing and vetting numerous pergola companies before we selected the one that ultimately installed our pergolas that are there, the ones that you do see. He's also been very much involved in updating our rules and regulations, as has Sina. Tina, our vice president, her assistance with technical and computer-related issues, along with the time-consuming and critically important task of reviewing and approving invoices for payment, has also been invaluable. And finally, Anne, our treasurer, who is sitting on my right, which is especially big, as she has truly been
sorry, my right hand throughout the year, offering keen insight, wise counsel, financial expertise, and an unwavering willingness to be available whenever needed. Also, always just a phone call or a text away at almost any hour. I can't tell you how many days she was the first person I talked to in the morning, the last person I talked to at night. Sorry, Tom. She's been my sounding board, my sage, and quite simply indispensable. I'd also like to recognize the many owners who volunteered their time this year, starting with Lynn and Lou, and whose dedication to providing opportunities for friendship and camaraderie has added immeasurably to the enjoyment of our building. Events don't happen without volunteers, and everyone who has stepped forward has strengthened our community in meaningful ways. To the spouses of our volunteers, including my husband, Tom, thank you for your patience, support, good cheer, and willingness to help in whatever way was needed. So as I step off the board, I do so with confidence in the leadership that will follow and in the continued engagement of this community. And now, so that our newly constituted board may begin its new year with its organizational meeting, I kindly request a motion to adjourn.
Nope, I got something to say. Not yet. So, Mary Lou, it's honestly hard to summarize everything that you've done without needing a full PowerPoint, which we all know I love a good PowerPoint, but I'm going to spare us that today. But I think the biggest accomplishment, we'd all agree, is that you led the completion of the pool deck, an almost impossible task. That was Mary Lou. She was the engine that drove this process 7 days a week. And we had one guest say to us, you know, before we had a $1 million view. Now we have a $2 million view. And that is because of the work that you did. You guided the updated of governing documents, both at 201 and at 200, because apparently once wasn't enough. And the biggest thing was changing the voting thresholds, which was what Rod talked about. Because of that, beloved owner projects that before were something that we could only talk about became, it's happening now, and it has happened, and you made that happen. But what really sets you apart is how you do it. Your enthusiasm is relentless, your attention to detail is unparalleled, and your thoroughness leaves absolutely no stone unturned, and no contractor unquestioned. In our weekly construction meetings, Kurt gave Mary Lou the nickname of Columbo, because at the end of virtually every conversation with a contractor, Mary Lou would say, I just have one more question. True.
I plead guilty.
You are without question indefatigable. And just so everyone understands what a day in the life of Mary Lou actually looks like, it's exactly what you described. The first texts start rolling in at 7:30 in the morning. It goes all day. And then the last emails come to me about 10:30 at night when I'm long asleep. 7 days a week. And I do not exaggerate. It's a 7-day-a-week job that Mary Lou did in these past 2 years. Because serving on both boards wasn't enough community involvement for you, you filled your 3 empty minutes a day with participating in the book club, being librarian for our library, doing walking and chair yoga, and attending every single 200 and 201 event, connecting with friends in the pool in the afternoons. And when that wasn't enough, you'd consult for your old law firm. The rumor has it that you do sleep, but we've seen no evidence of that. And now in the next chapter, while we're somewhat happy for you, we're really happy for Tom. Tom, yeah. Tom, thank you for your patience. We've tried to return Mary Lou to you in relatively good condition. Now you can set up those tea times, plan those trips, and finally get her to clean up those piles of paper, which you love, all over your unit. But all kidding aside, Mary Lou, you haven't just fulfilled the role of presidency, you've elevated it in a way that a president that we have never seen before in this association. On behalf of the board.
Some people have asked me, what am I gonna do next?
You're going to accept.
Oh my God, thank you so much. They're beautiful. Thank you. So when people have said, what am I gonna do next? I decided last night what I'm gonna do. I am going to study trivia for the next year. So that next year, when Skip asks even harder questions, I might know what are the most populous continents, and then all these other kinds of things. And so I really have to get on with that now. And so now I will ask.
Hold
for a
on, one
motion.
more. I just wanted. We also wanted to thank Tina for her service. The office has not looked the same. So thank you.
So now I can ask for a motion to adjourn, and then we can go into meeting number 3, which is the organizational meeting for the newly constituted board. Oh, anybody can make this motion because it's a members meeting. It's not a board meeting. Anybody want to adjourn? So moved. Lois Kellogg. Let the minutes reflect that Lois Kellogg moved to adjourn. Do we have a second? Luciano. Bocce player extraordinaire. Call him by his name. Seconded the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All
Aye.
Any opposed? No. This meeting is adjourned. Thanks. And the next meeting will begin momentarily. You are all welcome to stay and watch the board. You have your agenda. It basically will be the new meeting at which the new officers will be elected.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
It's gonna be weird sitting on that side of the table.
I'm just gonna leave these up here for the time being, okay? Let me just get out of your way.
Get everything under.
Thank you.
Truly appreciate all your hard work.
Don't be shy.
I don't think they can hear you. Doesn't matter if they can.
That's Liz Plant.
Oh.
They're both set. Unbelievable.
So now we get you.
Huh?
Yay.
I'm not sure.
To call the first two.
I have it on blurry. They can't see.
What's it called?
Yeah,
So first was the board meeting,
yeah.
and then it was the annual meeting, and this is,
Annual.
and this is organization. If you don't like. Thanks. Sorry. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for how our first service guests.
Oh.
OETSCH.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, you ready?
We're gonna wait till.
We're all here.
Okay. I would like to call this meeting of the, this Board of Directors organizational meeting to order. Okay, so the purpose of this meeting is the election of officers to the Board of Directors. And I guess the first order of business is, do I have any motions to nominate candidates for president of the board?
I have a motion. Can you hear me?
Yes, Tina.
Okay. I would like to nominate Anne as president. She's done a
Okay.
fabulous job as treasurer, and I recommend her as president.
All right, do we have any second?
Second, Barry.
Okay. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimously approved. And with that, I will hand the microphone to our new president.
Thank you. Next order of business is the election of the vice president. I'll open the floor for nominations.
I'll nominate Barry.
We have a nomination for Barry Skolnick for vice president. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We've got Howie was the first one to second. So
Okay.
is there any discussion? No? Then we will take a vote. All in favor of nominating, of electing Barry Skolnick as vice president, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion passes. Barry Skolnick is our new vice president.
Thank you.
Moving on, we will now open the floor for nominations. First, treasurer. Do we have any motions to nominate a treasurer?
I will nominate Rick.
Rick Riccobono is nominated for the position of treasurer. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Sina has seconded. Any discussion? Then we'll take a vote. All in favor of nominating Rick Riccobono for the position of treasurer, please say aye.
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 Any nays? The motion carries. Rick, you are our new treasurer. And finally, we have the position open for secretary. Do we have any nominations for the board secretary?
Skip.
Steve Morris has nominated Skip Cornelius for the position of secretary. Do we have a second?
Second.
Barry Skolnick seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of electing Skip Cornelius as secretary, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion passes unanimously. Skip, congratulations, you get to do this. Given that there's no other order of business, we will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Skip Cornelius has motioned to adjourn the meeting. Rick Riccobono seconded, and so we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Ann.
Thank
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So do we have like a